Hey guys, this is Scott Horn with First Option Title, and we're going to talk just about removing someone from a mortgage or even a contract possibly along the way. So I hope you find that this video is helpful. If you do, please like it. Make me any questions. We'll do our best to answer those for you. And come see us on our YouTube channel as well. Now, I find it interesting that people believe that they can just remove somebody from a transaction easily. Sometimes you can. You know, if there's a husband-wife scenario, there's a divorce going on, can one party deed the house to the other? Yes. Can one party give the other a power of attorney? Yeah. But questions I get are things like, well, I want to remove her from the mortgage. And of course, they're asking that to the title company. And I just kind of look at them and go, guys, there's only one party who can help you do that, and that is your lender. And of course, the answer there is they ain't going to remove either of y'all from the mortgage loan. You all signed it. You're both obligated on it. And the only way to remove them from a mortgage loan is to either pay it off or to refinance it into your own personal name in some format. Even then, if you're still married, that title company may put the mortgage or the note in one party's name, but the spouse is going to sign the deed of trust at bare minimum because no lender wants to foreclose on half the property. They're going to make certain that both parties have executed that deed of trust. So if there is a default, they do the foreclosure, they get full ownership. Keep in mind in that scenario though, the only person who's liable for a debt is the person who signed the note. So if a husband signed the note and the wife didn't, the wife's on the deed of trust and there is a foreclosure downstream somewhere, it doesn't affect the wife in that instance. But just thinking about removing somebody from the ownership of a property is hard to do. But can you do it? Absolutely. It does take a deed along the way. Of course, from a title perspective, if one party gets removed versus the other, we still want to check title on their names and do what's called a name search, because sometimes these people will do this outside of the title company and you know they didn't check title. So you've got to do a full name search on everybody to make certain that one spouse who's no longer on title didn't have anything negative that would have followed the property. So again, just having some basic understanding of title searches is an important thing to do along the way. Removing somebody from a mortgage isn't going to happen. Removing them from a credit card or a judgment isn't going to happen. No one's going to do that. They're not going to take the risk of it. They want to get as much security for their debt, whatever that might be, as possible to protect them along the way. So the simple answers, you need to understand those kind of things. You know, if you have parties on a contract, bottom line is if they're married, they should both be on there if you're in a community property state, unless it's your sole and separate property. And guys, I will tell you that most people have no clue what sole and separate means because they don't keep things separate. They commingle everything. You know, we guys often hear what is the wife's is hers and what is ours is hers too. Well, you know, again, when you look at this, if you're in a community property state, both spouses need to convey that ownership of the property. You will see so often on a CAD maybe where one party only is entitled. Well, why is the other party not entitled? Maybe husband bought the house, you know, year 1 and year 5 he gets married. Well, now they're married. They've lived in the house for 10 more years. The wife was never put on the title by the husband, which you don't have to do. But now there comes this inference of community property because income that people make, payments, repairs, etc., gets commingled and you lose the separate nature of the property and it becomes community property, unless you want to get into all sorts of family law stuff that most people don't want to get into. And just looking at these kind of items along the way and understanding how that works will help you navigate your deal. You know, if there's an estate issue or whatnot, you want to make certain that you have all the parties, all of the heirs. You got to ask these questions. You know, one of the things I find so interesting is we're dealing with mom who passed away, and the investors are only talking about mom and or her estate. They forget about dad. And when dad passed away, was anything done for him? Was his estate probated? The answer is usually no. Was there an heirship affidavit done for dad? The answer is usually no. Did dad have any prior marriages or prior children to this particular marriage? Half the time, yes. Half of the time, no. you've got to understand some basic tiers of what we call intestate succession, which is usually under the estates code or the probate code of your state. And you don't need to go all the way down the tiers. You just need to know the first couple, 2 or 3, so you can have a open conversation with somebody about things and ask reasonable questions up front about all this. Again, I see so often in divorces where there's been a divorce, but the property is still in both of their names. What happened? Well, simply put, the divorce attorney never executed a deed from one party to the other based upon whatever the outcome of that divorce decree was. So what do? Well, either you got to go back to the spouse who didn't sign a deed to the other spouse to follow the terms of that divorce decree, or you got to air their dirty laundry in deed records by recording a certified copy of the divorce decree. So then you get access to that document, read and review it, and understand what it says. And I'll tell you, most people don't want that recorded in the deed records if you can avoid it. So they'll usually execute that special warranty deed from one party, over to the other. And there's all types of moving parts when you get in those situations, because if there has been a divorce, you got one party who hates the other one, who doesn't want to help the other one, whatever it might be. And, again, I've been successful just going, look, either you sign the deed or we got to record your divorce decree, and all this is going to be out there for the public to see easily. And they go, well, in that case, we'll sign it and take care of it. So just a very nice way of handling that usually will work from those perspectives. But all types of things can happen, but it is not as easy as people think to add someone to a property, to take them off, to remove them from a bank debt or a mortgage debt or a credit card debt and things of that nature. And you've got to be looking through this overall to help you navigate that transaction appropriately, and it will help you to expedite your closing when you do get down to the title phase and you're ready to close it. So guys, I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, please like it. Don't ask any questions. We'll get back with you on those. And come join our YouTube channel as well. See you guys next time.